Hi everybody, Kirsty here, Goddess of Neptune. I hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world. We have a new moon coming up this week on either the 19th or 20th of April, depending on where you are in the world, of course. For us in the UK, it's happening in the morning of the 20th of April at 5:12 a.m. GMT, British Standard Time. Apply to your own time zones as appropriate. But this is a special one because it's the second new moon in Aries. Of course, we've had one earlier in the month. We're still in Aries season, right on the cusp with Taurus, getting closer to Taurus season. But 29 degrees, that's the last degrees of a sign that a planet, celestial body can be in, of a sign before it moves to the next one. So it's kind of one of these places where it can be quite harsh depending on other astrological aspects going on. And for this new moon in Aries, the second new moon that's happening in Aries, 29 degrees, we also have the sun at 29 degrees Aries. There is going to be a solar eclipse at the time of the new moon. So big energy, powerful energy, and also could be illuminating some stuff for us. So I'm going to pull up the charts and let's get right into the detail here. And of course, take it as it resonates. This is based on my interpretations of the astrological transits, okay? And let's just pull it up here on the screen so we can see. So hopefully you can see that there, new moon in Aries. And as I was saying, for us in the UK, it's going to be on the 20th. So it's 5:12 a.m. GMT, British Standard Time, for those of us in the UK. Apply it to your own time zones, all right? But you can see there, we've got a lot of energy going on in Aries. We've got a lot of energy in Taurus. We've still got Pluto calling for transformation, and we've still got Saturn showing us and teaching us lessons. So big energy going on there, but also a lot of that energy within Aries and Taurus regarding our sovereign self, our warrior spirit within, the self, and also our worth and values with that Taurus energy. And I mentioned that we are going to be moving into Taurus season soon. Okay, so after we've had the new moon and this solar eclipse, we're then going to be moving into Taurus season. 4 hours after, 4 hours and 2 minutes after this new moon comes in. So, you know, there's a lot going on, but whilst we're still in Aries, let's address that Aries energy because the new moon is happening in Aries. And this is, of course, about the self. This is about our sovereignty. And this new moon, in terms of, you know, manifestations, because new moons support us with that energy, this is that almost final call for kind of manifestations based on what we've learned, certainly over the last few weeks, months even, regarding ourself, what we want. Okay, Aries is all about having that courage, that fire energy to take action towards what we want. And with the moon there, that's emphasizing our feelings when it comes to what we want. How do we feel about what we want? How do we feel about who we are at the core as a warrior self within? Our sovereignty, how do we feel about that? And with the sun being there, and we've got that conjunction because, you know, the solar eclipse is happening at the same time. This is very powerful energy when it comes to the soul's essence, with the sun being there and the moon. So we've got our soul knowing what we want and our intuition guiding us in that way, if we're listening to it, and our feelings around that. What has, you know, certain period of time taught us, shown us about who we are, what we want, and how do we feel about it? How do we feel about taking that action to get what we want? In conjunction, of course, with our worth and values because of all the energy going on in Taurus. But this is about what we want and our drive forward in terms of achieving what we want. And that's part of our transformation journey because that does take courage. And maybe we've had to develop that along the way. So I'm going to just now stop sharing that one. And I'm going to bring up the UK's chart. And this is to give context for the transits. Okay, so you should see there, if I just zoom in, we've got the inner wheel, which is the UK's natal chart, and then the outer wheel is the new moon in Aries transit. So think of this as a bit of a freeze frame snapshot of the sky, of the cosmos at the time of the new moon. Okay, so you have the planetary degrees and the minutes there. So we see that exact conjunction with the sun and the moon because new moon with solar eclipse in Aries, everything that I've just mentioned. And for the UK, it's happening in the 10th house. So that is about our inner authority. It can relate to work. It can relate to social status. So when we think about what we want in terms of our drive forward regarding our inner authority, speaking up for what we want, doing what we want, being powerful, using that personal power, owning our power and moving forward, this is where this is happening for us in the UK as a collective. So our soul really having to discover who we are at the core, with the sun there, and our sovereignty within our soul. And now with the moon, it's recognizing, okay, so how do we feel about this? We feel like we're sovereign. We feel like we want to take action. Or do we actually feel a bit nervous about this because it's calling for us to have the strength to move forward? We know we've also got Chiron in Aries. So that's that sort of, the healing journey regarding all of this has related to our personal power, and Jupiter being there has expanded those aspects of our healing journey for our attention. So our feelings might actually be a little bit bruised, a little bit battered because of this, because we've had to go through the sort of the rungs of it. We've really had to go through challenging times to discover who we are at the core, who we are ourselves. So putting ourselves first, and that might be challenging for some people because it's a natural response, if you're empathic, certainly, to be, people pleasers or just care for other people rather than putting the spotlight on ourselves. And certainly recently, we have been called to turn that focus back on ourselves. And that can be uncomfortable because we're having to face certain aspects that need healing. And this is further enhanced within the UK's chart, because in the UK's natal chart, we've also got Chiron and the sun within the 10th house. And Chiron in this case is actually in Taurus. So that does regard our worth and values. But we've got the soul essence and power there to drive us forward with our personal power. If we're owning who we are and we can accept what we need to do to show our inner authority, to embrace who we are, to accept who we are, that's all part of that journey, and be who we are, embody who we are as a sovereign soul. Now, of course, the opposite house here on this particular chart, and remember, your chart is going to be different to this. This is why astrology is unique, and it's not often that I see a chart that has one sign per one house. And this is what makes it fascinating for me, because you can see the intricacies in your soul's blueprint. So that's how I like to view it. It's our soul's blueprint, why we're here. It tells us more about ourselves. It reveals more about ourselves. There's layers to it, but I won't go on about that. But I am fascinated about that. And I'm fascinated about helping others discover who they are. But here, for the UK's chart, as we look at this, the opposite house to the 10th house is the 4th house. So opposite our inner authority is foundations. And the 4th house can also represent taking action, but here I feel it's about our foundations. So we've got the South Node that's, of course, here in the 4th house, up in the sky, as it were, in the 4th house here. So we don't want to be under any illusion of what our foundations are, but this might have brought up, when we've had to look at our inner authority, we might have realized that the foundations that we once thought were for us, they were secure, they were as it should be, were in fact illusionary. Or this could also be bringing up past life elements for our attention, especially because in the opposite house we have Chiron going on with Jupiter, and now the moon is there to bring up feelings, and the sun. So a lot of energy there forcing us to look at these elements. So that's just something to kind of, float out there, really. I was just drawn to that. But we need to recognize that our inner authority is what creates and formulates our foundation anyway, because if we're strong within our inner authority, then our foundation is going to be strong, and vice versa. Because our foundation, who we are at the core, underpins everything. Because when we are sure and certain about who we are at the core, we can then operate from that place of total alignment, total divine alignment with who we are. And that way we can then express who we are, we can be who we are. And there is that essence of just being true and authentic. And our sovereignty is very important within all of that. Now, it goes without saying, we've got a lot of stuff going on here, and Pluto is one of these things that's going on, to put it in that kind of category. Not that I'm trying to demean Pluto, because Pluto is actually helping us. We've got to transform, we've got to purge, but this can be deep, this can be uncomfortable. And we know that for the UK's chart, Pluto is in the 7th house of relationships. Relationships with people, places, things, even thought patterns. You know, the transformation is needed here. And what I found interesting, particularly, and I will just mention, of course, Uranus, we know, is in the 11th house. So that's change regarding connections with other people. So this is why the UK, you know, there are these sort of potentially within the collective aspects within our connections with other people that need to be changed, need to be transformed. Okay. And what we've got, so we have got with Pluto, there is actually a square to the sun and the moon, and Vesta's there as well, divine feminine energy. So that square can make things challenging. So, all right, we've got this inner authority, this knowing within our soul, within the sun energy, and we know how we feel with the moon energy regarding our inner authority and who we want to be, what we want to do. But there might just be some challenging feelings regarding how we might transform, because we could be resisting transformation. We want to change, we know who we are, we know what we want to do. But if this is come as something different to what we've been used to, or what we've been tethered to, or what we've been attached to, then that can be hard to detach from and transform, because often we need to release certain things or even connections that are no longer in alignment, and that can be hard. So as well as this healing journey where we've had to face our own inner wounds from the past, from past lives, we've had to go through quite a lot. Now Pluto's asking us to transform relationships with people, places, things. We've got the change going on in the 11th house within connections with other people, and the need to express ourselves, to truly ground into our reality with the Taurus energy, but to truly understand our worth and values in terms of then going after what we want, being who we are fully, embracing that inner authority and that personal power. So there might just be that, okay, I know all of this, but how am I going to transform it? Because by transforming it, it means I've got to let go of this. And maybe I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable about that. Maybe it's bringing up sensitivities that also need healing. So this new moon with the solar eclipse might bring up some of that. You know, it might actually bring up some of that for our attention. And that's a good thing, because otherwise, how would we be aware of it? We need to be shown things often in order to then heal through these aspects. I noted down earlier as well, because when I was looking at the chart before, there is a trine between Pluto and Ceres. So Ceres is that expansive energy, but on a kind of mini Jupiter scale. It's like mini Jupiter. But there is expansive energy to Ceres. And of course, there is that positive aspect astrologically with Pluto. So that's expanding the need for transformation. It's just then whether we feel comfortable in that transformation because of what's going on in the 10th house here with the sun and the moon, with Chiron still there as well in Aries, and all of those aspects to be focused on. Now, I'm also going to mention Lilith, which here, if I sort of scan in, you can see appearing in the 2nd house of this natal chart, okay, transiting through this natal chart. Exact conjunction with the UK's moon, and the 2nd house being worth and values. So Lilith is more that kind of dark feminine energy, bringing up shadow side for us to attend to. So Lilith is a great teacher in that respect. I've said that before in other astrological overviews, that being on top of the UK's moon is really sort of bringing the shadow stuff up right into our feelings. And this is where, you know, we've got the new moon solar eclipse, things are being illuminated, and then we've got Lilith there also highlighting shadow aspects that might need our attention regarding our worth and values. And of course, with Lilith being there, there is that positive. So although it's, you know, shadow energy, there is this positive aspect with the trine to the sun and the moon. So although it's more of the kind of shadow side of things that maybe we don't want to look at, this is a positive placement because it's for our own highest good. This is being illuminated to us for a reason, to continue progressing through our healing journey. And as if we haven't had enough of that, you might be thinking, but this is all for our highest good. And we need to recognize that the sun and the moon are in the final degrees of Aries. So this is that empowerment at the final degrees, you know, that edge of empowerment before the sun will then be in Taurus, which is, you know, that more of that sort of, you know, think of the Empress energy, which is the grounding energy, but also knowing our worth, knowing our values. There's also sovereignty to that as well. But we need to recognize that shadow aspects coming up that Lilith is helping to illuminate is happening in a positive way to this new moon and solar eclipse. It might not feel like it, but it's coming up for our highest good. For the UK collective and anybody resonating with this, it may just feel a little awkward or uncomfortable because of the fact that Lilith is conjunct exactly with the UK's moon. So this is where it could hit you in the feels. And if we're aware of this, we can process it, we can accept it, and we can understand what is being shown to us, what is the moon showing us, what is the solar eclipse showing us, and what is Lilith showing us in view of all of this. And that just might help get us through processing these feelings regarding the healing journey, regarding the transformation, and certainly regarding our inner authority before we can truly bed in who we are in accordance with our worth and values when the sun moves into Taurus, 4 hours after this new moon, or 4 hours and 2 minutes to be precise. So there is a lot going on. There is a lot going on. And I've also, when I was looking at this earlier, and I wanted to remind myself of this. So we've got, yeah, with the North Node, okay, so you can see at the top there, there's a purple line as well, showing the North Node, which is, of course, in Taurus, transiting through Taurus. And that's why it's in opposition to the South Node in Scorpio. But North Node in Taurus, which is, of course, you know, our purpose, our truth, what we're here for. And there is a positive placement to Mars here. So what we have here, okay, is Mars being that masculine drive forward, of course, is in Cancer. So that is more of the softening of the masculine energy being in a feminine sign. And of course, Cancer is ruled by the moon. So, you know, at this time of the new moon, there could be heightened energy around that. But also Mars being transiting through the 12th house of the UK, being on top of the UK's Pluto, also, by the way, at 13 degrees for both, is, again, heightening the need for transformation. But this is hidden. This is even more so deep subconscious transformation because it's 12th house. So the masculine energy has had to go through a bit of an ego death, and I mean unhealthy ego death. So there's been an awakening from that point of view. And also, even for us feminines, because we all have masculine and feminine within us, that drive to really do what we want to do, which is what we need, because we need that courage to take action towards what we want, may have been out of balance with the feminine energy. So this has called it into question by way of this unhealthy ego death, the softening of the masculine energy to understand that the masculine energy needs to be healed just like the feminine, but the feminine energy can help nurture the masculine energy through the healing process. So being, 13 degrees Cancer, and we've got the UK's natal chart Pluto, 13 degrees Cancer, exact conjunction there. So really kind of heavy energy calling for transformation within the masculine side of us at a subconscious level, 12th house. And recognizing that the feminine energy, that Cancerian energy, is helping us through. But also we have Venus transiting through the 11th house of connections. So anything regarding connections with other people, we have feminine energy there supporting the change that's needed, because of course Uranus is there. Juno is also there transiting through. So there is that feminine energy support. We know in the 10th house, we've got Vesta there. And although Vesta is now in Taurus, which is great to help bring that feminine energy to support worth and values, and it brings that sacred flame energy, it's still there in the 10th house at the moment with the sun and the moon. So it's supporting the healing journey, and has been for a while because of Chiron being there also. It's supporting that expansion of hope when it comes to our transformation, but also Vesta has been supporting, the sun and the moon in this case here, with this illumination of what may still need to be looked at regarding our inner authority, our personal power, our empowerment in our sovereignty. So the feminine energy is really helping us work, even Lilith, as I alluded to earlier, the more shadow side of the feminine energy, because it's impacting on our feelings, but she is teaching us what we need to be aware of in order to help continue with the healing process. So I'm going to stop sharing now. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull some cards, okay? And because it's for the new moon in Aries, I'm going to pull some cards from my Moonology decks, and then I'm going to take a card or two from the Astro deck, okay? So let's see what we've got as a final message, please, for the collective. And I'm using, first of all, Moonology manifestations, because it's the new moon. We need to just remember how powerful we are as sovereign beings, and all of this transformation that we're going through, all of this transformation that we're being called towards, that one popped out, is for our highest good. And there is beauty in growth, because we're not the same as we once were. We've gone through this journey. We're evolving all the time. So look back on where you were in this journey 3 months ago, 6 months ago. You're going to be different now to what you were back then. And that is a testament to your strength, your resilience, your sovereignty, your personal power, your inner authority. So the message is to just keep going and keep going through this healing journey. Powerful transformation is ahead of us. If we can work with the energy and utilize that empowerment within, understand our feelings when we need to, of course, we can't push those down. We need to understand, embrace the transformation that's needed, embrace the change that's needed, and honor our true, divine, authentic self at soul level. Okay, so what we have is, it's a full moon card actually. So obviously we've got a new moon coming up, but this is full moon energy in Gemini saying, embrace the flow of life, and it's in reverse. So there is a need to embrace the flow of life. So allowing things to flow in terms of what is shown to us, allowing the flow, not trying to overly control the outcome, surrendering to that, recognizing that when change is needed, there's acceptance of that. And you can then process, okay, this needs to change. This is what I need to do. This is how I'm going to get there. That's all taking action, isn't it? Even when we're preparing to do something. But then recognizing, okay, do I need to release something first? Do I need to go through some meditation to process what this is? Do I need to heal some aspects of myself? I'm going to check in with my intuition and allow things to flow to me. I know it's got to change. I don't want to be focused on the outcome. I just need to be in the present and allow things to flow. So I think that's important. And there's definitely a need to be proud of yourself. That's on the bottom, hidden energy in reverse. So we need to be proud of how far we've come. As I was saying before, there is beauty in this growth. Okay, powerful transformation. Okay, let's go for the Queen of the Moon. Queen of the Moon, sovereignty right there. Okay, what do we have, please? Queen of the Moon. That one flew. Oh, wow. I'll show you what's on the bottom shortly, but yes, that one flew. Spirit wanted us to see that one. Fear in reverse. Yeah, we've got to let our guards down and release the fear around change. That's very important. And you see here, there's a lot of darkness, but there is light at the core. Imagine that light emanating from your soul, telling you the truth about who you are. And all this fear and resistance is from conditioning, programming, what other people are telling you. No, embrace the authentic self within, allow your light to shine bright, your personal power, your inner authority, and release the fears of others around you, because that's their journey, not your journey. That's what I would say to that. And I feel very strongly about that. There is freedom and liberation to being able to release fear around expectations. There's more surrendering here as well. But not only that, fear of change. We need to release the fear of change, because change is upon us. It's in the energy. Uranus is calling for change. Pluto is calling for deep transformation. And this is all for our highest good. But on the bottom, the card that wowed me, I love it, is that exactly what I was saying. So thank you, Spirit. That confirms to me hidden energy. So do you know how sovereign you are, really, at the core? And look there. Okay. So imagine that light from the core. See the mirroring there? One's in a place of fear and the other one is totally confident with who they are as a sovereign soul. And that's in the upright. This is in reverse. So we need to embrace our sovereignty, 100%. 100%. And anybody that has challenged your sovereignty has been a teacher for you on your journey to enable you to get stronger. But now is the time to step forward into your true sovereign self. Okay. Oh, right. One, thank you. I've got one that wanted to come out, but I don't know what it is yet. I've put it to one side. Let's see what else we have. Anything else from the Moonology deck? Oh, we've got quite a few. Adjustments are required. Yeah, so some change is needed. There we go. Conclusions are within reach, and that's also an eclipse card, although it's full moon, but there are conclusions that are within reach. So we can find the answers within via our intuition. That is our connection to source energy, powerful energy that we hold within us, that we can be accessing at any moment. We just need to listen to what our intuition is saying. Time for healing. Yeah, we need to embrace the healing. This is in reverse as well. You are good enough. So you are worthy of change. So you say to yourself, I am worthy of change. I am worthy of transformation that's for my highest good. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of divine opportunities. I am worthy of blessings. I am worthy of love and abundance. There we go. Emotions are running high. So this is what I was saying about the moon. Lilith being on the UK's moon, on top of the UK's moon, but also with the new moon, you know, and the solar eclipse going on, there is that sort of heightening of emotions. But we can use that to our advantage by understanding how we feel. So our emotions in terms of how we feel about who we are, and stepping forward into our inner authority and embracing that energy, embracing anything that comes up from Lilith, from a shadow side that needs attention, because that's coming up for our highest good, riding the wave of the emotions, releasing what we need to. Let's not bottle up our emotions. We need to release, we need to process, and then moving forward. This is the one that wanted to come out. You're very close to achieving your goal. So when you think of transformation and, you know, that analogy of the butterfly coming out of the cocoon, and it can be very challenging and distressing, and the butterfly has to do that themselves. If anybody helps the butterfly, that could result in, you know, consequences. And I say help as in pulling somebody out of the cocoon. You know, we need to go through our own inner work. Hopefully that makes sense how I'm saying it. But it's very important for us to do our own inner work, because we need to heal. We're the ones, it's our free will. We need to go through this. So the fact that this card is coming out and wanted to be seen, very close to achieving your goal, think of that end goal of the butterfly. that beautiful transformation, having to go through all of that. And that is, you know, the end goal of being that transformed, evolved self, truly in one's power, truly in that joy, love, and abundance energy. This is Spirit saying you're very close to achieving that, but we are at the final degrees of Aries with this new moon solar eclipse. So it can feel harsh, it can feel emotional, it can feel challenging with the square to Pluto, but just recognizing that we are very close, we're getting there, we are getting there. But this is, things need to be released for a reason. You know, when Saturn moved into Pisces, it was almost that kind of, hiya, I'm in Pisces now, I'm in the house of the divine, what's in alignment with your spiritual truth, what's in alignment with your soul, and have you learned the lessons from the last 3 years, or do we need to look at these? So a lot of stuff is coming up, big energy that's been coming up for us to pay attention to. So let's see with the Astro deck what we have. Final messages. Any final messages for the new moon in Aries, solar eclipse? What do we have? Thank you. What do we have? Oh, okay, well, quite a lot came out there. Now these two flipped out. So we've got 12th house in reverse. Sorry, 12th house in the upright and south node in the reverse. So this is hidden stuff regarding the past. And we don't want to be too attached to the past. We need to be processing what's come up for us to process. 12th house is what I was saying about Mars being there, those subconscious kind of masculine wounds that might be coming up that have been challenging our inner authority that we need to process. And maybe this does relate to the past. We want to remove ourselves from any illusion regarding that. And recognize that Juno is there with that partnership energy, that feminine energy, okay, to help support us through. We have Descendant, which says invitation on it there, but we have second house there, resources, second house worth and values, ninth house exploration, so learning what we need to learn, transits and opposition, so the opposition going on that we have with the south node that we saw, you know, so the sun, you know, the sun, the moon, Vesta, and of course Chiron and Jupiter in the 10th house, along with the north node, opposite the 4th house of foundations in the UK's chart. That's where the south node is. That opposition energy could be challenging us a bit. And then Gemini in reverse. And I do love this card because this is about cross-pollination. And Gemini is certainly, you know, we want that balance to be restored. Think of the 2 pillars of Gemini. We want the balance to be restored. We need to balance the masculine with the feminine, you know, those polarities, but it's also, certainly with the imagery on this card, it's also about taking the good from the challenging situations and applying it moving forward. So pain of the past and all of that that's come up that we've had to accept, heal, you know, release, process, whatever, that could have been painful. And it could have been emotional, but taking the good from that, taking the wisdom from that and applying it going forward means that you're stronger, you're more resilient. And when you come into contact with similar situations or similar people, whatever it might be, then you know, because you've got that wisdom within, it all adds to your wisdom bank within your soul. And your soul will never lie to you, but it's being able to take the goodness out of a situation and apply it somewhere else. I feel that's extremely important to our soul's growth. Aquarius on the bottom, okay, 11th house energy of collaboration with other people, and that's where Uranus is calling for change, certainly in the UK's chart, okay? So apply it to your own chart as appropriate. It'd be worth you looking at where the new moon is happening in your chart, okay, what house it might be, and really trying to understand what that energy means for you when it comes to transformation, inner authority. All right, but until the next time, of course, we've got the sun moving into Taurus 4 hours and 2 minutes after this new moon solar eclipse, and you know, that's gonna mean, yes, we're in earth energy, so we need to ground ourselves into our reality when it comes to all of this that's been coming up. But the solar eclipse might just illuminate some stuff that we still need to attend to. Lilith might support that by illuminating some shadow stuff that needs to come up for attention, to be processed and dealt with. but then we can ground it into our reality. We can truly understand our worth and values, and then we can move forward on the next step of our journey, because it's always moving, as we know. Energy is fluid, time is an illusion, as we say. So hope it finds you well, and you know, wherever you are in the world, of course, and take care for this new moon in Aries with solar eclipse. I'm sending you love and blessings, and I will be doing further astrology reports, of course, but until the next time, take care, everybody. See you soon.